Welcome to Psychic Streetsmarts. I'm Catherine McDonald, and we're on that channel once a month on Monday nights. We do a live one, and then we run the older shows for those who might not have seen them on that channel every Monday night from 7 to 8. Tonight, we are talking to John Chafer from the UK. He's a medium, a spirit medium. He has written a book called My Guide and I, and we're just going to talk about how to take in 2012 or finish 2012 and take in, or start to take in 2012. I'm already ahead. Finish 2011 and go into the new year. We're going to just talk about it from a spiritual perspective, from what his guides have as advice, and from the point of view of what you can do to get through the holidays, keep your energy positive, or anything else that, as we leave the old year to the new year. And so welcome to the show, John. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you very much.
Oh, good. You look better here than you did on my computer. I got to get a new computer, I think. These guys have got the right technology. So welcome. And get yourself comfortable. We're going to chat for a bit. And so first of all, tell people a little bit about yourself, because you've been on the show before. You were here in Canada, and you were gracious enough to come and interview, I believe, in September. And so just a little bit about yourself would be great.
Well, I started mediumship about 7 or 8 years ago when I had a near-death experience. And I started seeing spirit from when I was a young lad, but didn't actually believe in the word of spirit. But what happened after that was just an experience that I'll never forget. I just had people come to visit me. Now I work for spirit all the time, full time. It's a non-stop job, really, just working for spirit. And it's a lovely experience.
Well, I know that from a personal perspective of having done the same kind of work. I do work as a medium here in Canada. What I liked was the information that we shared on the last show was about your own experiences, but also things that people need to know about spiritualism. This time, having that relationship with spirit that you have all the time, like I have with my guides, what are they telling you about getting through the difficulties of 2011? Because it's been a difficult year for a lot of people.
Right. The thing that they're telling me at the moment is for people just to be calm and relaxed. At the moment, there's so many arguments going on, and I do hear a lot, especially when I work on the phones. There's people splitting up, and to me, this is all to do with money, because Christmas is supposed to be the time for giving. You know, it's a big celebration, but unfortunately, we hear of so many people that are passing different ways. But the main thing about Christmas is the part of loving someone. It's about remembering our loved ones that have passed over as well, because they are special to us as well.
What I find also is this time of year, people get wrapped up in the, I guess, the hubbub and the busyness of the season. And whether they celebrate Christmas or you know, the Jewish holidays or some other holidays that are not necessarily Christian holidays, all the holidays seem to fall somewhere in this time of year, and it seems to be the middle of winter and the hard time of year. What do your guides say about what we can expect for 2012? Do they have any, I don't know if it's predictions or thoughts about all of this energy? Because I do know people have been talking a lot about, you know, the end of the Mayan calendar and all of this other stuff. So any input or guidance from your spirit guides?
Right, I'm just actually having a chat with him now. And he said, yeah, there has been so much negative energy within 2011, but now 2012 is approaching. It is going to get better. It's not going to get any worse than what it was last year. You know, we've had bombings in England, we've had bombings all over the world, but the energy is actually calming down now for 2012. So we can expect a much better relationship with our guides. And it is really, it's like he's just said to me with the sea's been very, very calm, but we see so much, and now it's just calming down. And especially February, I feel that's going to be the calming month.
So even though people are afraid of 2012 and they might have some ideas, and there's all this information about the end of the Mayan calendar, and some people are predicting the end of the world, I've got to say I'm not in that camp, and I do think that it's more of an energy change or transition to a different type of energy. But you're saying from Spirit, as far as you understand it, what they're telling you is that things will calm down rather than get worse.
Definitely. That is what I've just been told by my guide. And I always trust in Spirit and what they are showing us as well. That is the main thing. You've got to trust in them up there, in what they are showing you. I know that there is going to be a few problems, but it's not going to be as major as what we know.
Well, I think that most of the problems have been from 2008, 2008, you know, the collapse of banking and the lack of trust of business. And although, you know, I can understand the point of view that people have. We've had a lot of the Occupy movements in various parts of Canada and the U.S., and people want change. I don't know if those things are the things to bring about change, but what I do wonder is, does Spirit have a sense of what would help with change?
At the moment, they won't answer that question because, as you know, sometimes Spirit will not predict the future, but they are there for us. Something you've just said as well, and most of the problems do come down to the money problems that we had all over the place. There is a lot of problems regarding money, the arguments that go on. It is stress, and it's also coming up to Christmas as well, and it's the worst time for people to get depressed, to get lonely.
I agree with you. I agree. It's got to be one of the worst times for stress. You know, the Christmas holiday seems to me to be a time when a lot of people expect their families to be a certain way and they're not, expect their jobs to be a certain way and it may not be, and so there's disappointment and the realization of a new year, and here we are and I'm still doing the same thing, or I'm having the same stress in my life. So you're saying that Spirit will not answer the question as to how to make the changes. Will they give us at least some guidance as to what we can do individually and as you know, as groups, as far as our politicians and the way our countries are, to sort of move towards positive change?
The only thing that they're telling me at the moment is you've got to look positive. Don't keep looking at the negative that is around you, because if you're negative, if you've got negative energy around you, that will bring you down, and that will make it worse as well. The more positive saying to yourself, well, I can do better for myself, I can make the world a better place, that is one big change that one person can do. If someone else does it, that's two people. Then we double it, and then we triple it, and that makes it better for everybody. More people looking positive makes, what, as my guy just said, makes life a better future.
What I found interesting is there was a video that was sent out in my email, and it was about the world that we would like to have. It was a Hungarian video, but they had it was very you could see that for each character someone did a kind turn, and that person then did a kind turn, and it was sort of labeled as you know, the way that humanity should be. I suppose then Spirit brings us back to personal responsibility about how we are in the world and what we choose to focus on. That's what I'm understanding that you've just said.
Yeah, we all have a free will in life, and we can't blame Spirit for everything that goes wrong. We can't I hear so many times, excuse me, that, oh, I must have been really bad in a past life because what's happened to me now. We can't blame spirit for that. We've got our own free will. What we do in life is our own fault. Even if the washing machine goes wrong, even if we have an accident, people are blaming spirit for that. But it's our own ways, what we actually do in life.
Is it possible that it's not about blaming spirit? What I'm asking about direction, because people often ask me who are not spiritualists, they want to know what's the point in getting a message? What's the point in going to church on a Sunday and getting that? Because I may be dealing with someone who's Christian, I may be dealing with someone of a different religion, and they don't understand it. So they think that it's about psychic prediction. So what is the purpose of the spirit messages then?
The purpose of the spirit messengers is just so that we can actually give people proof of survival. And also as well, that when we talk to people that pass over into our spirit world, it's about giving love and just giving them the comfort of hope, knowing that their loved ones are always around them, watching them and guiding them in the right direction.
I understand that, and I agree with you. You're talking about guidance. So this is, I think, where people get confused. Guidance does not mean spirit doing it for you. Maybe it's more that spirit will tell you when you're on the right track, when you're doing something you should be.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, because that's what makes sense to me. But you know how many years it took me to learn that?
Sorry?
How many years it took me to learn that. Even as an experienced reader and as an experienced spiritualist, there were times I got very frustrated with Spirit's way of doing business. So I'm just commenting that it's taken me many years to learn.
Oh, it's taken me. I mean, even till the day that I actually pass over, I am still going to be learning about Spirit and in which ways I learn, because there's so much to learn about it.
That's true. That's true.
You never ever stop learning from the spirit world. And until that day we pass over, we're still going to be learning.
I would agree with you there. So given that, you're telling people that they need to relax and stay positive. Are there suggestions, either from your own experience or from what you understand from spirit, of some ways that we can do that? Some practical things that we can do?
Okay. Now, what my guys just said is meditation will help as well. Crystals, any clear quartz crystals just put around the house, that will actually get the energy up as well, because if you go into a house full of arguments, the stress that's there, the energy level is completely low. You will notice that as soon as you walk into a room. Crystals will help just boost that energy up. Even meditation, just 10 minutes away from the house. Even take the dog out for a walk and just breathe in the air that you've got around you. Even just go and sit somewhere outside, just away from the house. If there's an argument, if you know that there's an argument going on, just move away from the situation, because spirit don't like arguments. They hate the arguments. They hate war. All they want is people to have a peaceful life.
It's interesting because I often get questioned as to which religion is right or which way of thinking is right. And from my understanding, Spirit doesn't get into, they want us to celebrate our holidays. They want us to celebrate being together, but they don't get into who's right, or they don't get into the conflict side of it. Does that make sense in your experience as well?
It does make sense completely. And as my guide always says, whatever religion we are, whether we're Jewish, whether we're Catholic, whether we're Muslim, we're all exactly the same person, because we're all praying for that one person, and that person is above from all of us.
The other aspect with people and their families, you're talking about meditation, you're talking about using crystals, creating a sacred place. Now, I know that in some other religions, they'll actually have a prayer room or a sacred place where they have an altar. So I've done those things in my home. It was not something that was taught to me prior to spiritualism. So what you're suggesting is people find a way to get themselves back to center, correct?
That's right, yes. That
Okay.
is correct.
Okay. When you started in spiritualism, um, you what kinds of things did they tell you that led you to go in the direction you're going now? Because I know you're going towards going into the reverendship and going into the churches and doing a lot of work. What draws you to that side of it?
Because I always knew that I was told that I was going to be learning more, and that is why I'm actually going into the Reverend side of it, because I need to know more about spiritualism, other religions, and it was a course that I've been doing recently, and knowing all about how spiritualism actually started as well. You know, it's very, very interesting because not many people know how spiritualism started and how the Fox sisters started as well. But if you look at it, we're coming back to the arguments as well. I mean, there's so many arguments within churches in the UK, and I know that there's arguments in Canada as well,
Yeah.
you know, and it goes back to the Fox sisters because they were always arguing as well.
I guess what I'd ask you then is you're working as a professional medium and you're respected, and I've had the experience of having a reading by you and found you to be very accurate. If the churches are full of tension and and ego and all of this stuff, why would you get into it if you don't have to?
Bec- the real reason that I've got in there is to help other people, to help them learn, to know more about the word, what we actually do, to bring love to other people. And that is the real reason of the word of working for spirit, because it's just the meaning of the word is a meaningful word.
That makes sense to me. I wasn't trying to trick you. To me, I've always said it was about service to other people. I want to, I guess, remind people that no matter where you are, family, job, church, there are going to be conflicts, there are going to be stresses, especially around this time of year. And even though you may think, I want to get away from my family, or I really hate my job, or I really don't want to be part of this organization, whatever you're doing, you still have to fulfill your obligations with your family, with your job, with whatever organizations you're part of, be them churches or whatever else they might be. So it is Spirit's, I guess, guidance to stick it out, work on things, and keep yourself centered and with it, whatever way you need to do that. Does that make sense to you?
It does, but there's always someone there. I mean, if there is, and I'm going to say at Christmas time, it's the time of worrying, and there's someone there that someone can talk to at Christmas time as well. You know, we're there, we're a service as well because we are there 24 hours a day for them people out there. Does
What
that?
what do you tell people who are just starting and they know that they sense something, but they want to increase their connection to spirit? What are some of the things they need to do? Because you have a very good connection.
The things that they actually need to do is, first of all, is get some books, and the best books to read are people. Silver Birch is a very, very good book, and he's got loads of books as well. Go to your local church, go and sit in a circle, make sure that it is the right circle for you, you know, because so many people move from circles to circles because they're not comfortable. But read up on it, learn more. You know, that is the way that people will learn how to connect with spirit. Meditation, as I always say, will help. That does bring spirits in. But we've had so many problems with people not realising what spirit all about. I had a lady phone me up the other day, and she actually wanted a reading. And I actually explained to her, I said, look, I'm sorry, love. I've got to talk, you know, I've got your relatives coming through. And she said, well, I don't want to talk to my dead relatives. I just need to know the future. I think that we should leave dead people alone where they are. But that is how we get through to people. We talk to their loved ones that have passed over.
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of confusion with people and they're looking for direction. and they might do it through getting somebody to do tarot reading, or get a medium and get a spiritualist reading. There is a psychic capacity, but the way that we work seems to be a confusion for a lot of people who think that psychism is somehow separate from the mediumship, and for spiritualists it's not. So
yeah, that is,
I do know, and I've come across the same thing, where you have someone that wants the prediction, but they don't want to deal with the relative. And I tell them, I have to bring you who is here to help me give you the information that you need.
and that's it. I mean, most of the people that I get through, that I talk to, actually believe in the spirit world. It's like some of the amazements that I get. Well, how did you know that? You know, how did you know about my dad, what he looked like? How did you know about my mum? And it's just the way that spirit works. So long as we can give someone proof of evidence, proof of life after death, that's what it's all about. I was actually in a church the other night, whereupon there was about 30 people there. And there was 8 people sitting in front of this church, and they were waiting for one person to come through. They was waiting for their mum to come through. And their mum had only just gone a month ago. And I said, sometimes spirit aren't ready to come through. You know, you've got to expect, when you go for a reading, just expect the unexpected to come through, because I did say to them that their mum is still, when someone goes over to the goes over to the spirit world, they're in hospital. It's like they was in hospital on the earth plane, but they're in a hospital up there. They've got to know, they've got to come to terms with it. And they was expecting their mum to come through just like that within an instance. Well, unfortunately, spirit doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I think the strangest experience I ever had was a woman who came for a reading, and she had said to me, I had kind of felt the need to warn her that I would be dealing with whoever was at her family was available to her. And I guess it was her grandmother that came through and said, you're going to have to warn her because she won't want to speak to me. And there was some real bad tension in the family, and the grandmother didn't accept the granddaughter, and there was a bunch of reasons for that, one of which was that the mother had been involved in a mixed relationship, and the daughter was a result of that. And so there was all kinds of nastiness while the child, this young woman, who is now an adult, was a child. And so we get to do the reading, and the grandmother comes through, and I'm not getting anybody else. It didn't matter. And I said, you need to deal with this in your life. And it was about her relationships, about what she was doing with her children, what she was doing with her work, and all of these things. And she ran out of the house. She was so angry, and so I guess not expecting the reality of the reading. Several months later, she did come back and indicate to me that I was the only one that had been accurate, because I had told her that the man in her life was not the man that was going to be in her life, and I had told her that the grandmom thought this man was not good for her, and I guess she had gone to a whole slew of other psychics who kept telling her he's the one, keep working on it. Of course, they kept taking her money, so she had spent a lot of money. So sometimes as a reader, you have to do the difficult thing, but spirit is always coming from that place of wanting our healing and wanting our best interest, even if we don't sometimes see the messages as being that. And what I wondered about, as you focus on what is to come for 2012, what is I guess the key thing that you're seeing that most people are struggling with right now? I know it's work and money, but what is it, and how can they get through it, I suppose? Is there any suggestion from spirit?
There is no, I mean, with spirit, they're not giving me no advice on that whatsoever. All they want people to do is just enjoy themselves. You know, just let go. I mean, my guide always says to me that you let go of the past, you let go of the anger. When you let go of that anger, that's where that negative energy goes. It just disappears straight away.
But if someone is worried about money or worried about, let's say, their relationship or the security of their job, um, do you find that the spirit realm, when you're doing readings, will give them the bits of advice or the bit of encouragement that they need in order to be able to move forward and still follow the path they're supposed to be on?
They will give advice, but the way that I actually give advice is through the cards. Because I do the cards as well. While I'm doing, if they want more of a psychic reading, then I will do the cards.
Okay.
If they want more of the mediumship reading, I will do the spiritual reading. There was another example I just wanted to say to you, Catherine, that spirit can give you advice in the most weirdest way. I had a lady that phoned me up, and she was absolutely in tears because she'd met a new gentleman. Her husband died 2 years ago, and she said, I just don't know whether to move on or not. I said, well, look, your husband would have wanted you to move on. I know that you've still got his clothes, but if you want to be with this new man, be with him. And things have started happening to her, like she'd lost her purse, this had happened to her, that had happened to her. The last final thing that joined them two together was that she had a parrot. Now, this parrot had the smoke, had her husband's cough, and it just kept them two together. It was that last bit of enlightenment that she had. Anyway, she went in there the other day, and unfortunately, for some reason or other, she had a little bit of her burner caught fire, and her room was smoke clogged. And she went in the living room, and her parrot was actually had died. And she was absolutely devastated that the parrot had died. She said, that was my last connection with my husband. What do I do? And I said, you've got to look at the facts, because if you look at it, I know that it sounds weird, but it's spirit's way of telling you, right, now you've got to let go of your past. You've got to move forward. And they do it in the most weirdest way sometimes.
That I will give you. The thing I want, I guess, for people to realize is that no matter what you stress over, or what you worry about, what you fear, your fears are usually worse than the reality you're going to end up dealing with. And this is what I think that continued work with spirit has taught me, is to really go to a place of trust of the universe, not just my grandfather who came through on Sunday at church, but knowing that the universe has a way of working things out. We don't have all the answers, but we do. I do believe that where you place your focus is what you draw to you. So if you focus completely on negative things, or you focus on the stress, or you focus on things that you can't change, and you're frustrated and angry about not being able to make those changes, rather than focusing on what you can do, you're the one that's tying up your energy with, things that are not within your reach. And whatever you're planning on doing with 2012 as you leave 2011, it's how you choose to go into it. I've got to say it's probably been one of the worst years of my life in a lot of ways, but as I come through it, I've done the most work and made the most changes.
Snap. I'm going to say exactly the same thing, snap. Because I was always told that, excuse me, my life changed last year. And I'd never, ever thought that I'd be working for Spirit full time. Now, a medium actually says to me one day, he says, you'll be working for him like 24 hours a day. I never, ever believed them. I said, no, I do my bit for Spirit. And then all of a sudden, because I used to actually be a nurse, and that, I had a bad back, and I'd left the hospital by then. And within a couple of months, I was working for Spirit full time. And I'm thinking, what am I doing? But I know I'm there helping that one. If I can help one person, one for one day, or just put a smile on someone's face, I know that I've done my job.
It's interesting, that I've always said you get involved and you can walk away, but you can never leave. And I think it's once you know that you have this ability to sense and see and feel and work with energy. How can you walk away? How can anybody walk away from something where they can help other people? On the other hand, I do think that the spirit guides will respect our need for balance and our need for boundaries. You know, they don't bother me at 2 in the morning. They know that I need a certain amount of sleep. These are things I've arranged. But as with anybody, as you get into any kind of healing work, you got to keep it balanced so you don't become burnt out. And this is the same in any line of work or any field you're in, that you keep your balance and you have to respect yourself so that others don't take advantage of you, either around you or in the spirit realm. You know, either around you real time or in the spirit realm.
You've got to learn, and I always say to people that if spirit are coming through, you've got to learn to put that shutter down. I always imagine that I've got a garage door. I don't know if you call it over there garage, but a garage door in front of me. I lock it so I get my peaceful night. But unfortunately, because I work with spirit mostly during the night as well, I get them visiting me 24 hours a day. And sometimes it's like they'll come into my bedroom. The worst places is when I'm in the bathroom. They'll come and visit me there.
Oh, I don't have that problem. I don't have that problem at all. I've never had that problem. I specifically asked them to wait for me at the reading room door. I do not want them to. I don't want to feel like I have no privacy. Now, I have been sitting on the couch watching TV and fallen asleep and had a very distinct impression of somebody standing by waiting for me to wake up. And I wake up and I'm like, whoa, wait a second, because I'm the only one in the house. I got 3 cats, so I'm trying to figure out which cat has woke me up, only to realize that all the cats are sleeping in the other room. And I wake up with this distinct impression that somebody has a message. Now, they will do that when it's an emergency. Last year, a friend of mine had a very bad cold, and this woman kept coming, and I assume it was his grandmother on his mother's side. And she kept saying, you have to call this person. You have to call him. You have to call him. And she kept addressing him by name. He fell asleep in the tub. After work, he works in an outdoor job, and he was trying to warm up, and he fell asleep in the hot water. Could have drowned himself. And I called and woke him up, and he happened to pick up the phone. And so, yes, they will, on emergency, when they feel that it's someone's safety is at hand. But generally, I don't find that they're that disruptive. So it's interesting that you have all this. What do you do when they show up in the bathroom and they show up in the bedroom? Do you ever feel like you have no privacy?
I just tell them to go away. They do go away in the end. They do go away. Unfortunately, if I'm on my way to a service, I will always get them in the back of my car. They come and visit me in the car. And even, my Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays are very, very. I'm going to call them my holy days. It's the only days that I really get a chance to not work with spirit, unless I've got a service on a Saturday or Sunday. But they're still there, because if you say to someone, they say to you, "What do you actually do for a living?" and I say, "Well, I talk to the spirit world." That's it. That door's open. And you land up giving them a reading, even if it's someone in the street.
Right.
Or
right.
You could even be sitting in a restaurant, and the waitress comes up to you, and you think, "Oh no, please don't do that," because you know that their name's around you, and you want to give them a message, and you have to stop yourself, because otherwise people just think you're mad.
Yeah, there's a show on TV here in Canada called Long Island Medium. And she's interesting. She'll go up to people in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a restaurant or somewhere where she's in a store, and she'll say, "Who's the gentleman who lost his 3-year-old son?" And and she'll give really detailed things, and then you see the guy in the back who's the cook or whoever, or the guy, he's not expecting it, and she's getting him to come forward. I don't know if that, to me, is respectful, but I suppose her view is spirit's there and they're not going to go away otherwise.
No, it's not respectful at all. I've learned um, by my teacher, you know, there's a place and there's a saying for it. You learn to keep it shut at times, because that person could be a different religion, and you could really, really upset them. I've learned so many, and I've seen it so many times where people's gone out and they say, "Oh, I've got this, I've got that," and I've just said, "Don't say a word, just keep it quiet." I can't actually. Another thing that I can't actually do, and my sister actually said this to me. I don't actually believe in the spirit world. And she said, I don't expect you to give me a message. And I went, no, I won't. And the reason being, because you're a very, very close relative. I cannot give a message to my loved ones, and not even to my partner. I wouldn't be able to give her a message. She has to go and see another medium and has to pay for a message from her loved ones.
Well, I agree with you. I don't read for friends or family because I'm too close to the situations. You know too much about it. And I also find it stressful because how do you separate what you think is right from what you might get as a message from spirit? I might have a particular point of view on the situation because I'm part of that situation. Whereas if I go in as a reader and I know nothing about the situation, I can strictly listen to or observe whatever spirit wants to bring forward. So that is how it can be helpful to go to someone that is not very known to you, or is just like you're kind of a client of or a stranger to, so that you get a clean read, is what I call a clean read. As we enter into the new year, what are the top, I guess, 5 things that you would tell people to consider or to do in order to bring themselves from what might be a stressful time to a more positive way of thinking?
Right, okay. Now you've got me on that one. Um,
Take a few moments and come back to it, but I just wondered if there was, what do you tell clients when they're really stressing to get them to actually hear the messages and then do something constructive in their lives? How do you get them out of that stress? What are some of the things?
I actually tell them to do a bit of like deep breathing exercise. You know, I just say, right, take deep, because we have people that are on the phone, and as you know, that are crying their eyes out.
Right.
And I just get, right, take deep breaths, relax, you know, keep doing the yoga exercises, not the meditation, but the breathing exercises as well, because their chakras are all over the place. And once they've got them chakras correct, back to where it should be, then they can talk properly.
Do you actually show people how to work with the chakras?
I do indeed. I do, definitely.
Okay. And for those that might not know, there are 7 main chakras, and there are many chakras and meridian points on the body. But they start with the root, the sacral chakra, the solar plexus, then you have heart, and then you have the throat, and then you have I always say the ears, and there's the go with the throat, the ears, and then you've got the third eye, and then the crown. And these are the main points, and when people are really frustrated, what chakras are most blocked, do you find?
I find that the solar plexus are the most awkward ones that you can lose.
Yeah.
Heart chakra.
Well, heart is certainly, when we're hurting and we're feeling frustrated, the heart does seem to be affected. And my understanding, the solar plexus is an emotional center, so when we're not dealing with things as good as we might, or we're angry or we're upset, the solar plexus will also be affected, correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
And we're talking about financials, and you're saying that a lot of it comes down to, we were talking earlier, and you said something about comes down to greed, or things being out of proportion, or fear of loss. Now, it could be loss of relationship, could be loss of job, could be loss of money, loss of status. It's a fear of loss. But if people are focused on the material things, does that mean that the root chakra would be most affected?
It would be, yeah.
Okay.
It would be. It's the emotional. If you look at it, Catherine, the whole main thing is just the there's just so much emotion around people. Once they've cleared that emotion, and I always say to people that the best thing for them to help them with their emotions is go and get healing from their local centre. Reiki healing, any kind of healing will actually help them.
That's interesting, because I know that everybody is a self healer to a certain point. But I also know that when I've been very upset in my life, even though I know that I need to do these things. Now, the things that we're talking about, we're not saying it's easy to do, and you may really be in your upset, and you may be in your anger for a bit, or you may feel overwhelmed, and you may not be able to turn it around as quickly. So what I find is sometimes when I'm out of sorts, I really need to sit and have a healing, to sort of give myself permission to sit for a moment and actually let someone else share the energy and work with me.
That is the best thing to, I mean, I send so many people to churches in England just to say to them, right, this will actually help you. And when they come back and they've actually phoned me up and said, that really, what is it about the healing? And they need to know more. And you find that everybody in the world has healing abilities as well.
And we're certainly not saying that as spiritualists that our way is the only way. There are other churches that do hands-on healing. There are other churches who believe, in having spiritual health and wellness, and they have made different expressions of it. So what do you tell people about the healing when they ask what it's about?
The thing that I tell them is spirit energy that comes through. There's something that I must say, Catherine, as well, that we had a recent thing that happened in England in one of our churches. And there was a big, big argument over this as well. And I can't remember what church it actually was, but they were actually saying to people that we can heal you from AIDS. And they went to the church, they went there a couple of times, and then, would you believe it, I think it was the ministers and the healers that were in there, and it wasn't a spiritual church, but they turned around and said, you don't need to take your tablets no more, you're healed.
Oh, couple of issues with that.
Yeah.
Couple of issues with that. First of all, you're not medically... Spiritual healing is a spiritual ritual. It is not a medical replacement. We encourage people here in Canada to continue with their whatever medical or alternative treatments that they're doing. And we never tell people we never diagnose. I'm not going to sit there and say to you, John, you've got a stomach problem, and guess what? It's cancer. I couldn't. Yeah. That would be totally inappropriate for me to do. Don't do health diagnoses.
No, as spiritualists, we wouldn't actually do that. But these people actually told, I think it was about 8 or 9 people, and they were videoed telling them that they were cured and there was no need to take your tablets anymore. And these poor people actually passed over to the spirit world.
Because they took the advice of the healers and didn't and discontinued their medical treatment?
Yeah.
Wow. I think that I'm going to say to people that whatever you're going to use in order to bring yourself to a center, like a spiritual focus or center, if that's what you're choosing to do, or your own wellness, use your common sense. If something doesn't feel right and somebody's advising you to do something that does not seem to be in your best interest, even if you believe in spiritual healing, get a second opinion. Double check. I mean, if you are diabetic and you need insulin, being told not to do your shots or not to take the pills or not to take care of your diet because, well, you're healed, that's crazy. And so, as spiritualists, the fifth principle is personal responsibility. And I think as a responsible reader, and I know you to be one, and I know that I try to be one, the focus is helping people to figure out what they want to do and how they want to make the next move in their lives. Not doing it for them or telling them what they should do, but here are your options. Here's what Spirit's showing me. These are the couple choices that seem to be ahead of you at this time. I don't know if they work the same way with you. Does that make sense to you, John?
It does indeed. But as I said, Spirit will come down to you. And another thing that sometimes that happens as well, excuse me, Spirit will come through in dreams as well. The dreams that you actually get are very significant. I don't know if you've ever noticed that.
Oh, I don't dream very often. I probably dream and I don't remember it. So when I do dream, I tend to pay attention. Some people get a lot of dreams. So I would say to people that make a list of things or keep track of your dreams. And even if they seem nightmarish and you're having the same dream over and over, try and find out why that is and what it is you need to make a change.
Yeah.
For example, when I was in university, I used to have these dreams where I was being chased by red pens. Now, in Canadian universities, instructors usually mark your assignments with red pen. So I was feeling harassed. I was feeling overwhelmed. I was feeling whatever I was feeling about being, in 4 courses at University of Toronto. And so it was about me finding balance and being out of balance and being very stressed about the workload. Sometimes dreams can be that way. Sometimes dreams can be process-oriented as well, like where it's a physical reaction to eating something before bed. But sometimes the dreams are they can be very instructive to let you know where your stress levels are. So good, one of the things you talk about the dreams. Do you recommend any of the dream interpretation books? Do you have a book that people can use, or do you use the books?
Usually, I actually go on the internet because most of the dreams that even if you dream about an accident, a car, all the dreams are exactly, they are the same. So the car dream, all you've got to do is look up on the internet, or there are dream books out there.
Yeah.
They're all classes exactly the same. So just have a look up on the internet, go out, buy a couple. And even if you have one occur in a dream every single night, which I've heard someone did have the other day, and she realised what it was saying, that with this person, that you've actually got to get rid of your past. You're still hanging on to that little bit of string, hoping that you can relay back to the future. You can relay back and you can get back. And it did. She realised where she was going wrong through reading that dream book.
Oh, it's true. It's true. If the same thing keeps coming up in your life, this is the way that the universe works. It's not just about dreams. If the same patterns keep coming up in your life with people that are in your life, people you work with, people that you have to deal with, and you have the same struggle or the same sort of personalities keep coming your way. For example, as a single person, I keep meeting very similar type men. And yeah. I'm looking at it going, okay, where's the lesson? I'm not sure I've totally figured it out, but I do know that, hey, this has come up 3 times in my life in the last 4 years, and I'm not sure I want to deal with that particular type of person. So why is it coming up, and what am I learning? What am I supposed to get at? It's the same with any situation. So as we've been talking about entering the new year, enter with a new attitude of, being willing to examine what's going on around you as a message. Because a message is not just coming from a medium. A message can come from seeing something like consecutive numbers, the same thing over and over and over again, if you respond to numbers, or if a certain symbol in dreams resonates with you. So that makes sense to me to tell people to sort of check out their dreams.
It's the same with astrology as well, because so many people now are into their horoscopes.
Yes. What do you think about that?
Put it this way, where the latitude and the longitude is, if you if you look at the stars in your local in your local paper, but in your national newspaper where they do have them, that can only happen to one person because they haven't got where the latitude and longitude is where they were born. So I don't believe the ones in the national newspaper, but if you get one done personally,
right?
Yeah, I do believe in that.
Oh, and you know, I like everybody else. I'm a Facebook fan, and I check out the horoscopes and everything else. I have fun with it, and I enjoy the fun of it. But I do know that a personal horoscope, you know, astrology reading done properly, is very personal and very can be very insightful as to your patterns, as to cycles. Some people are into numerology. What do you think about numerology?
I'm not sure. I've got my own views on that. I'm not sure about numerology whatsoever.
Interesting. Interesting. Have you not had you don't work with it then?
I haven't worked with numerology. No, not at all.
Okay.
That might be something in the near future. You never know. You mentioned it, and I'm going to look at it now.
Well, you know what was interesting? The reason why I ask is because I have a friend of mine who is a gentleman, the same gentleman that fell asleep in the tub because of the being sick and the cold weather last year around Christmas time. He responds to numbers. He notices number sequences, so he feels like if he sees a certain number, that's spirit guiding him in some way. And
right,
he's explained it to me that way. So whatever, I guess for me, I think whatever spirit will use, or whatever you're open to, spirit will use. But yeah. I'm not sure. There are all kinds of number books out there. One of the books I do like is the Angel Numbers book by Doreen Virtue. And it gives her interpretation, but if you follow that interpretation and if that's what you're going to use, Spirit does use it as a message. And I've found lately that numbers come up and I go, maybe I should check that little book out. And at least it gets you thinking. It's the same with the cards, because if you're going to be open to that form of divination, as much as I'd like people to be more, you know, dealing with their intuition and dealing with their own physical sense of what they understand the world to be, I also understand that sometimes you want to use a deck of cards, or you want to use a certain divination tool, sort of pull yourself away from it so you're not having to figure out what's mine and what is spirit and what is my thought and what is actually spirit message.
Right. Catherine, you said earlier on about the numerology. Have you ever noticed that when you wake up, you might say 1111, 222? You know,
yeah, those are the ones I notice.
Yeah. Well, there is a saying there that they're classes. People like that are classes actually in betweeners. There is a website about it. I haven't got the website address, unfortunately.
Yeah. But
it just shows you that. And as another friend of mine, because a medium was telling me the other day that what that is, that means that you're in the in-betweeners. You're in between the spirit world and the earth world. And that's what I was hoping. I was really, really looking at this website and I couldn't actually work it out. But there's something to do with the numbers on it. And now you've made me think about it. I'm going to go back onto it and hopefully discuss it, you know, next time.
It's interesting, though. I think what I'd like for people to do is to be open to different ways of intuiting and different impressions of things. We are sensitive creatures. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. At least in my view. So the atheist would say otherwise, and they'd say we're all delusional. But my experience being that we are spiritual, and we are in that place of needing to find a way to handle our lives. As we enter into the new season, I just hope that we've given people ideas for maybe approaching it a different way. What do you think, John?
I hope so too. You know, there are more ways forward than people think there are. You know, that they're all looking at, we don't think it's going to get any better. But if they look more positive and look at the different directions in which they can go in, it's like as my guys just said to me, if they take the blindfold off and look and see what's ahead of them, that's better for them.
And not so much about worrying about what's going to happen, but deal with what you got to that day or that week or that hour, depending on what it is. And break things down into steps that you can handle. I mean, it sounds really practical, but last year when I was dealing with business being slow and finances being chaotic, I had to sit down with someone and have them examine my finances and take their expertise and their suggestions and say, okay, these are reasonable steps I can do. That's what a medium will get you. These are reasonable steps that you can do according to spirit. That here's some thoughts or here's some ideas, and we love you and we care about you. That's what they're trying to convey. John, where can people get a hold of you? Just sort of give them the website where you're at.
It's www.johnchafer.org.uk.
Okay. So everything is on there. The book,
everything is on there.
You can order your readings from there, and everything is priced out. For those that are wanting readings in Canada, you're going to want to do Skype because he'll only call UK numbers. Okay, but the Skype option is there, and there's ways to contact. And when are you coming to Canada again? Do you know?
I'm booked in for September.
Oh, you're coming back next September then, for 2012.
Yeah, for 2012.
Excellent. Well, we'll have you on again in the show if we can get some time with you.
Thank you very much.
All righty. Well, we've been talking to John Chafer tonight. He's a spirit medium from the UK, and just shared some ideas about how to get through your busy season as we enter the new year. And I want to thank you again, John, for being on the show. You're listening to Psychic Streetsmarts, and we're on that channel. And you can always check me out, Catherine McDonald, at www.spiritualcat.com. Have a great night. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Blåst in veld. Weiter weg ist mein Haus und schlummere, suchen Arbeit in der Welt. Singt das Vögele, a Klockliedele, geht starbt im Feld a Blum. Gehand von Schleumelen a treuig Brübele, Leut und Elend mit Ruhm. Mit Gesang schickt das Vögele herab zu mir. Schon drucken, hey, hey. Es gehen Arbeiter herum, dort arbeitslos, schäumele euch zwischen Sing das Vögele, weh, weh von Bämele, blättlich reißt der Wind mit Gas. Machen es Arbeiter und euch mein Schleumele umgehen inmitten Gas. Gesang